Well, welcome back, everyone. I'm Robert Craig, and I'd like to welcome you to Just an Old Man Reading His Bible. We'll be looking into this Bible right here, the Holy Bible, and I think you can see right here that it is a King James Version. I picked up this Bible at Walmart the other day. What I like about it is its simplicity. There's nothing in it but text. That way I can write my own cross-references and notes. It just works better for me that way. What I want to talk about tonight is something you don't hear much about, at least not this part of it. It's the overthrow of Satan and the fact that it's kind of a future event. And it really was future when it was first mentioned here. We're going to be looking into Isaiah chapter 14, beginning with, thought I was going to start at 1. Might as well. Verse 1, For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. These strangers, that's who they mean there. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. That sounds like a real turning of tables. Verse 3, And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, How hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked, and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted, and none hindereth. Everyone's going to see this punishment happen, and they're just going to stand by and watch it. Nobody's going to move to help. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, Since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us. A feller is a man who fells trees. And of course, this is symbolic. Those people who were oppressed are going to find that there's none there to oppress them. Verse 9, Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, Art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy viols. So you see that this person they're talking about was a person involved with music at some point. And it's going to become very evident who they're talking about here. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I think the stars of God here is symbolic of the angels. He's going to, this is his ambition. He wants to rule over the angels. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. See now, we have a pole star. There are many references in Scripture about God being in the north, and they can pretty easily be found. I heard one preacher on the radio say, if you ever physically turn toward God, I bet you'll be facing north. You should research the word north and see how many times it cross-references to God's throne room. We have a pole star called Polaris, and when you're looking at the stars on a time exposure, they move across the sky, and there's one that more or less sits in the same place. The rest of them rotate around it. That's Polaris. Astronomers tell us it's about 360 light years away. But there's another star that's off to one side. It's called Alpha Draconis. Usually, when we hear that somebody is an alpha, we think of them as being, well, like if you've got dogs in your house, you'll have an alpha dog. He knows he's the alpha dog, and the other dogs, more than likely, are going to know that he's the alpha dog. Lucifer's ambition was to be the alpha angel. And Draconis, of course, is a dragon. And we'll see that that comes into play also. Let's get back to the text here. Verse 16, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake nations? That made the world as a wilderness, that destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land, and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and will cut off from Babylon the name, and remnant, and son, and nephew, saith the Lord. I will also make it a possession for the bittern, and pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Lord of hosts. A besom or a besom, that's an old English word for, it's usually a handmade broom. And that's basically what it is. It's a broom, something you sweep with. So you see here the downfall, but when is it? Is it in the future? Well, look at Luke chapter 10. This is after Jesus had sent some disciples out chapter 10, verse 18. And these disciples returned, the 70 returned with joy, saying, Lord, even the devils are subject unto us through thy name. They were so exuberant about that. They'd gotten the privilege of exercising some power in his name. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. Notwithstanding, in this rejoice not, that the spirits are subject unto you, but rather rejoice, because your names are written in heaven. They had to be toned down a little bit in their pride. Let's look at Revelation 12. And even then, there's a question in some people's minds about whether this is a look back into the past. It's about the midpoint of the tribulation here, kind of in that parenthetical period. Revelation 12, verse 7. And a lot of people think this has already happened, and a lot of churches teach that it has already happened. But we'll see that it hasn't happened. It's going to happen. This is like in real time in the middle of the tribulation here, I think, roughly about that time. And this is after the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God. They should feed her there 1,260 days. That's 3.5 years. Verse 7, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. Now, who might the dragon be? And the dragon fought, and his angels. Well, way back there in eternity past, when he had this ambition, I don't think he wanted to replace the Godhead. I think he wanted to make the Trinity into a four-part. And if he had succeeded in that, well, creation would not be a good place to be in, I'm thinking. Verse 8, and prevailed not, the dragon prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven, which would indicate that they had a place, they had access to God's heaven up until this point of this showdown between the dragon and Michael and the army of angels that he led. Well, the outcome was pretty much foreseeable. He outnumbered the dragon's army 2-1. Verse 9, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength to the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. So these people that are rejoicing in heaven, I'm thinking they must be tribulation martyrs. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. That pretty much covers the surface of the globe, I would think. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And you see in the very next verse, see, if that wasn't enough to tell you, that's in the middle of the tribulation. that short time. The next verse, and when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man child. Remember, she was fleeing into the desert. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent. So that kind of places the whole war in heaven thing kind of in the middle of the tribulation. And that's what Isaiah was seeing. And he saw a little bit past that to the end of the tribulation where Satan is finally pent up and closed in for 1,000 years, that he could deceive the nations no more. But John, the Revelator, does tell us that after that he must be loosed for a season. Well, I hope that ties things together a little bit. I got a little bit of a tickle in my throat here. But I'll just say, may the Lord bless this reading of His Holy Scripture and enlighten it to our understanding. I hope you got some joy out of this reading. I know it reassures me to know what's going to be the final result and who's going to win this long-time war between good and evil. And that's going to do it for this session, and I will see you the next time around. Take care now.